Good morning! Let's talk about double attacks. So, a double attack is basically a fork where you move one piece to attack two pieces. So, in this position, we're going to talk about two different type of double attacks. The first one is very simple. If I move the bishop on d5 to e6, I'm attacking two pieces. My bishop on e6 is attacking the queen on g4, and my rook on d6 is attacking the king on d1. So white's in check, so white has to get out of check. There's obviously three ways to do it. You can move the king, you can block the check with a piece, or you can take the attacker. In this case, black didn't play a good move because while you're doing a double attack, the rook is also vulnerable, and the bishop on b4 can just take the rook. So that was a double attack, but wasn't successful. However, there is a second type of double attack that's much more successful in this position. Can you find it? The hint is it's a bishop move. So you want to try and move the bishop to attack the enemy king. Yes, you guessed it. It's actually bishop b3. When you move the bishop now attacks the king. But what's also happening is the rook on d6 is also attacking the king. So that's not even just a double attack, it's also a double check. And when your king's in double check, you have to move the king. The reason why is if white now tries to take the rook on d6, the king is still in check. So therefore, you have to move the king. Now the king only has how many squares to move out of? You guessed it, 2 squares. It can only escape by king e1 or king c1. So I'm white, and I play king c1. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. It's actually black to move and mate. Can you take a second to see where you can mate the enemy king? You guessed it. Rook d1. That's checkmate. The king can't take the rook because it's protected by the bishop. The king can't escape to d2, c2, or b1 because the king's still in check. Also, if the king moves to e1, it is also checkmate. So that is an example of a double attack in two different ways. One attacking two pieces, and another attacking a king and a piece. So let's talk about pins. So in chess, pins are very good tactics. There are a lot of different ways you can use pins to your advantage. I'm going to show you two different type of pins. The first is the most common pin, is when you're attacking a piece and that piece cannot move because it leaves vulnerable a more valuable piece. So this is a very common position where my bishop went to g5 and is attacking that knight on f6. If my knight decides to move anywhere, whether it's knight e4, knight h5, or knight b d7, it leaves my queen in trouble, which means if I play, say, knight e4, the white bishop can now take the queen. So this is essentially a pin, and you have to find a way to get out of the pin. Now, what's a good move here to get out of this pin? Yeah, so there's two ways you can do this. You can move the queen, effectively releasing the pin from the knight, so now the knight can move freely, or you can play a blocking move that prevents the pin. And in this case, it's actually better to play bishop e7 because you're developing, you're defending your knight, you're setting up castling. So this is very good developing move and stops the pin. There's also one other type of pin there that's a little bit stronger. So let's say white plays e3, black plays knight c6, white plays knight e5, and queen goes to d6 to defend the knight. White then takes the knight on c6, and then queen takes the knight. So this might look like a normal move, but in fact, it's actually very bad for black. Can you find the right move for white to play here? Yes, that's correct. Bishop b5. And this is the second type of pin. This pin, I would call, is an absolute pin where the queen cannot move at all because it's pinned to the king. So it doesn't have to be the queen. If this queen was a rook, for example, the rook can't move because it's pinned to the king. In this case, there's only one move for black to do to get out of the pin, is to take the piece. But then again, it's not good because you're trading a queen for a bishop. But as you can see here, this is a very strong pin. If you can never do this in chess, you're most likely going to win the game. So thank you for watching. This is an example of how to do a double attack and different type of pins. Have a good day.